So thank you. Today we have Virginia Agnoni for our Charity Tuesday. So for those who don't know, this is going to be our first episode for Charity Tuesdays. They're going to be video episodes, where we speak with a charity, and it's going to be 4 Tuesdays before Christmas as a way to open conversation on our channel Rethinking Climate, which is a sustainability communication project to open and talk about complex issue that regards sustainability and climate as well. Today with Virginia Agnoni. She's a founder of Cora. Cora is a charity that saves mainly cats and dogs and provides treatments for them and looks for a home for them, a forever home. So Virginia, tell us a little bit about yourself. So thank you for being with us today, and why your passion for the charity, and what does your charity exactly do?
So my name is Virginia, as you said. I am from Cori, which is a small city not far from Rome, south of Rome. And we are a group of 4 people. It is me, one of my best friends, Sara. She is one of the main members. Then there is Margherita. She's our vet, our doctor. And then there is another Sara. Her name is Sara as well. She's the youngest member of our charity. She's 23. Everything started 4 years ago when we decided that we really wanted to do something for the animals that we kept finding on the streets. So we had a chat, and we basically decided that we wanted to create a network and use this network in order to find other people who wanted to help, who wanted to donate money, who wanted to adopt our pets, our dogs and cats. And everything started very, very easily. We simply started to dream about the association, about the idea of bringing people together. The official year when the charity was born is 2017. So it is a 3 years old charity. And it was me, Sara, and Margherita. Now we are 15 people. There are other families. They help us, and they usually host our pets and dogs. And there are people who donate money every month for animals, for medicines, food, every let's say everything that they need, that animal for transportation, if they have to go from Rome to Milan, because they have a forever family waiting for them in Milan, which is not close to Rome, so they have to take a train from Rome to Milan, and that costs money. Sometimes we find people like you, for example, who help us and bring transport the dogs or the cats from one part of Italy to the other. But sometimes it's really hard. For example, if we have very big dogs, you cannot transport big dogs on trains. So you have to pay someone who can take the dog and bring the dog from Rome to Milan. Sometimes it can be expensive, so we often use I don't know how to translate this, staffette. It's a sort of
it's special companies who put dogs in a van and sort of bring them from one location to another, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
we have a lot of expenses because food is expensive. medicines. Sometimes we rescue very sick cats, very sick dogs, so they need to stay in a veterinary clinic for a long time, and that's expensive.
Surgery as well, right? You also do
Yes.
surgery, so you have to pay the vet to do surgery on these animals. Okay.
Yes. So it's a lot of money. So we usually try to find not only forever families, but also people who cannot adopt but want to help. So they help us donating money, or if they cannot donate money, they can donate food, or for example, cat carrier, or any sort of item that can be useful.
Of course, yes, indeed. But of course, so for those listening, me and Virginia studied in the same university. We've known each other for a little bit now. And so I've known that you have a passion yourself. And I know that you and your family have been doing this way before the charity. So where did this passion comes? Often people think that animal lovers are just crazy, just crazy people who would prefer animals among anything else. So tell us a little bit about this passion and this cause.
Okay, so I was born and raised in Italy in a very big farm. My grandfather, he used to have a lot of animals, dogs, cats, all kind of huge animals like cows, horses. So I spent more than 15 years. I grew up with animals. It was a huge part of my life. So when I moved to Cori, which is a small town, I started to feel really sad about not having animals with me anymore, and so we adopted a stray cat, and then we adopted a second stray cat, and I loved them so much. Now one is not with us anymore. The other one is 13 years old and sick, but in the meantime we had also adopted a dog and then another dog. So we, you know what, when I adopted my first dog, Lily, I was so happy. I was so incredibly happy, and I felt the desire in my heart to see other people as happy as I was feeling. And I said to me, okay, if an animal can bring so much happiness to a family, and there are so many abandoned animals, I should save animals and give them forever homes, so other people like me can enjoy the company of a dog or a cat. Uh, and it's beautiful because you give a home to them and they give you so much love, so much happiness, so much joy. Uh, it, to me, it makes sense because you help them, they help you, and it's an exchange, it's a positive exchange. And that's my reason, because I really wanted to help animals but also help people, and I think that animals help people a lot.
Definitely people, yeah, animals do help people. I mean, I also try to do my best. I used to have 2 dogs, and definitely I share your cause at my heart as well. So and what we try to do with Rethinking Climate is then talk about those things that I feel often are not touched when we want to talk about our environment or how we can help our planet. And I think part of the conversation is also to why within this conversation, animals itself are often excluded, and why and why maybe they're not considered essential in the survival of the environment and nature itself. So why do you think that is the case? Why do you think we often neglect talking about urban animals? So before this interview, we were talking about a case that happened in Rome with some pigs that got lost from a farm and were eating trash out in the countryside. So yes, why do you think often people don't really consider animals part of this conversation?
That's a that's a hard one. So to me, the problem with people thinking that we have to save this planet, uh, it's not easy. Like, we're not just trying to, I don't know, buy a house or buy a book or whatever. We're doing something very big. We're trying, everyone, we young people, but even like old people, everyone is trying. I mean, I think that everyone is trying to do their best to save the planet, but it's not something small. Like, it's not a small task. It is a big task, and it is difficult. So we sometimes think that the only important thing that we need to do is to, I don't know, avoid plastic, or avoid going to, I don't know, uh, like far away from the country where we live, because flying, it's not only expensive, but also it isn't good for the environment. Like, there are so many things that everyone can do in order to help the planet, but sometimes we just don't think about what we can do in our, say, small city or small village. Like, there are so many things that we can do. Sometimes these things are even easier than just avoiding to travel, or avoiding to buy a new car or whatever. um, for example, I find that when I save a dog or when I save a cat, and they are not on the streets anymore, and we usually find them forever homes, or if we cannot find them forever homes, so we just neuter them, and then we uh, give them freedom, basically. If they're neutered, they're not keep like having babies, having puppies. Sorry, this is not the correct expression, but I can think about the correct one.
Yes.
And if animals keep having puppies, and then these puppies are in 6 7 months, they are having puppies again. There are so many stray animals that even like even their quality of life is terrible. Instead,
Yes.
if they're free, if they are in their environment, for example in a park or on the mountains, but they cannot keep reproducing, they live a better quality of life, they live a better life, and they live longer. So to just leave the animals as they are, like free to reproduce, and the way in which animals have puppies every 6 to 7 months. So a dog
Yeah.
can have 6 7 puppies. They can reproduce in 6 7 months, and they become a huge number in 2 3 years. It's
Yes.
Then it's a total mess, because they start to be in danger, because they are on the streets, and people, the way in which people on the street, they don't even think about, oh, I can find a dog on the street, I don't have to like run as a crazy lady on a Ferrari.
Yeah.
Some of them kill the animals because they run too much with their cars. Some animals just die because of sickness or other problems. It's really sad to see that even this small part of the environment, which are cats and dogs, are simply neglected by people. Or there are people that they have animals, they give them food, and that's it. They don't think that they have to take the animals to the vet, they have to take care of them. So sometimes they just die because food is not enough, it's never enough. You also have to take care of your pets. So Italy, in a sense, is a difficult place, because there are states in Europe where they don't even have animal charities, because they don't need them. There are so like the numbers of stray cats and dogs are so low that you have to buy your dog or your cat, or you have to find a way to adopt a dog or a cat, looking For example, for someone in other places, like in Italy, for example, we have a lot of people. For example, in London, there is a small charity, and they move animals from Italy to the United Kingdom, because in Italy we don't even have enough forever families anymore. Why in England there are people who want to help pets but don't want to buy them. So it's like you see, it's a huge and complex problem. It's not
Yes.
so easy as some people think. You cannot just think that okay, there is an animal on the street, I will call, I don't know, the police, or in Italy we usually call the police because there is a specific district, let's say, that takes care of this. But it's not so easy as someone may think. You have to help the animal, take care of the animal, spend money on this animal, and sometimes you cannot even find a forever home for that animal. So people are scared that they will find, I don't know, 10 cats and they cannot help all of them, so they just leave them on the streets. The problem with people is also it's hard to educate them, to explain to them that there are a lot of charities which are happy to help. It's a huge complex problem.
Yes.
You have to explain to people, inform people, help forever families who want an animal. So try to match animals and families. It's a complex job, but it's also sometimes I receive calls from people who want a dog or a cat, but they have never had one. So they don't really know what they need, what kind of pet they need, what sort of responsibility is to have an animal. So it's not so easy, because it's not always this is cat A, this is family B. Okay, family wants cat, so you bring the cat to the family and it's done. You have to make sure that this family is ready to have the pet in their house, that this family is ready to spend money in order to help this dog or this cat. You have to ask them if they live here in a house or in a place where people want dogs or cats to stay happy. So our job is not only about saving dogs, taking care of them, and bringing them, like moving them from one place to the other. Our job is also to find a good matching family for them, which is not so easy.
Yeah, which actually brings me to my next question. So I read on the newspaper today that they're considering a policy by which it is okay after a certain amount of time for somebody to bring back to the shelter a dog or a cat. It is better in the sense that at least a dog might eventually find their forever home. What do you think about this?
Well, the way in which we human beings like to control everything, we have this idea that the way in which we think is correct and the way in which other people think is not correct. There are people who go to a shelter, speak with all the staff, and they like, I don't know, a specific dog, for example. Let's say for a dog, let's use a dog for example. But the staff says, sorry, this dog is not a good match for you, because this dog needs a garden and you don't have a garden, or this dog is afraid of kids and you have kids. So we try to explain to the families that the dog is not a good match, but we have other dogs, but they like that specific dog, so they want to try, and then they try and it usually fails. So the dog is brought back to us. You can do this. It's not a problem. It is better that you bring the dog back to the charity instead of, I don't know, just give the dog to someone else. But for the animal itself, it's a tragedy, because there are dogs who spend, I don't know, 10 years, 11 years in a shelter. Then they go home, they start to sleep on a bed, sleep on a couch, have good food, have a lot of love. And then from one day to the other, they're back in the shelter. And that's terrible. That's just terrible. And they usually, when this happens, then these dogs have more problems because they are afraid that this can happen again. So they are scared of people. It's complicated. So to me, it is better to think and think and think and think and think about the idea of adopting a dog or a cat. Then, if you are 100% sure, but you have to be 100% sure, you go to a shelter and speak with the staff. Try to not to find the most beautiful dog or the best dog, but the one that fits you, that fits your situation.
So yes, what you're saying represents a lot of the human arrogance, the sense that we believe that beings have to understand and think and behave just like humans do, instead of being considerate or other beings' feelings, even when we don't understand them. So not understanding why a dog is behaving in a certain way, and it's happening because the dog has reason. Dogs and animals in general are not crazy. So a lot of the accidents that happen when we urbanize too much and we get involved too much in nature and in lands that don't really belong to us in a sense, and not because it has to be literal. So there's a piece of paper declaring that land belongs to someone, but rather the fact that it doesn't belong to us because technically that land is maybe a forest, and it's not a matter of physical belonging, it's a matter that other beings live there, and we should respect that. So definitely what you're saying is very true, and it brings us also to what we can say our final part of this conversation, which is, we were talking before about being child-free. So a lot of young couples, young couples choosing not to have kids, or even just couples in general, doesn't have to be young, but just couples or women itself that simply don't want children. And they want to do this especially in consideration of the way we're headed in our future when it comes to the environment also. But then this conversation has matched as well with this whole debate about people preferring animals versus humans, as if that was you choosing a preference and neglecting someone else, your decision to have a child, which I think it's why are we even having this conversation? In my opinion, it's ridiculous. Yeah, and I think, and then a lot of research has integrated a word which I don't remember right now, but it's this new definition of people purposely not having children because of the environment, again getting a lot of stigma for that. So what is your feeling about this? I'll give to our listeners a bit of statistics that I collected this morning. So between 18 and 49 years old, 500,000 people in Italy declared they don't want to have children, and that Italy actually is one of the top European countries which younger people choose not to have children, not because they don't want to have children, but because financial issues and crisis and the environment itself stops them from making this decision, because they privilege giving their time instead to a job, a career. And especially, as we've had this debate before, women struggle to match personal life with a career because there's a lot of stigma there too. In Italy especially, statistics show that about over 40% of the younger generation downgrade their position within the same age compared to older generations. So we never really achieved to go up in our career because we struggle to even get a job in the first place. So imagine asking for maternity leave. That's just a joke. So what do you think about this?
Yeah, okay, that's another big one. So I consider myself a child-free woman, and it's not something that I really decided. It's something that I want because I think that this is a very hard historical moment. The job market is a mess. The politics at the moment, the world politics is a mess. And as you said, to be a woman is really hard. because it is hard to find a job. It is hard to find a house, to afford a house. But there is also another reason why I decided that I wanted to be child-free. There are more reasons to be honest, but my first reason is that I think that the future of the planet is not so, let's say, it's not so good. We're not going to a time in history when everyone will have a job, everyone will have a house, everyone will have free hospital cares and all these things that we really need. So imagine having a baby now. I don't have a job, I don't have a house, I don't have even the most basic things that you really need to raise a kid. And even imagine having a baby now and have to take care of a baby during a pandemic. It is crazy, and I think that this is not the last pandemic that we will experience, because the way in which the future of this earth, I don't see a brilliant future, like a good future. I see problem coming. I see a lot of political issues, wars probably. There is also another problem. Our earth, our planet at the moment it's so full of people that the environment is like, the way in which the earth itself is burning because of overpopulation. So it doesn't make any sense to me to keep bringing other human beings to life if there are so many. There are so many kids in need. So in the case in which in, I don't know, 5-10 years, I will be happy, I will have a house, I will have a good job, I will have a husband, and my husband and I will agree that we want to raise a kid, I will probably adopt one, because he or she, he is already alive, he is already on this earth, and he's in need. So it makes more sense to me instead of just having one, which is one more person on this earth, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. That these are my reasons. The social and economical situation of this planet, even mental health now is a big issue, because it is really hard to stay healthy, mentally healthy, while fighting against a virus, while fighting against a job market that is just problematic, and
of course
everything is really hard.
Definitely. Well, science has demonstrated that many of the struggles actually has been increasing depression, anxiety, and a lot of mental struggles that often younger people don't really want to talk about. There's still stigma there. There's a lot of stigma as well in a person's decision to have a child or not. And this even going beyond women, just homosexual couples who want to have a kid and they could adopt, and or a woman just herself, like it could be us. Like I consider also somebody who would not want to have a child as well, because we are so many on this planet. And I personally have received a lot of stigma, a lot of negativity towards me, because it's like my decision is imposing also this decision on other women who want to have a child instead. And what I say is that you can do whatever you want in your life. But what I think as humanity in general, we should be more responsible at how our decisions are affecting the person next to us. And I think the pandemic has showed us, even in the sense of people not wearing a mask, and I am not stopping you from being free. I'm just requiring that collectively we make one healthy decision, which could also be, if you want to have a child, make sure that you yourself can provide with that child a happy life, and you're also making sure that you could contribute maybe to helping the environment, because you don't want to leave. Like, that's a lot of parents being worried now. Like, I'm leaving my child who's maybe born and is 3 years old, and in 50 years from now they could struggle to find a job, they could struggle to eat healthy food because there isn't any, a struggle not to be able to see nature the way our parents saw it because there's not much left to see. And so there are many considerations, and I think that often humanity just is so angst against each other. Like, even just talking about a small but very well operative charity as yours, it does so much, but then you have people telling you that they want to adopt an animal but don't really even think about the dog's needs and the dog's, again, responsibility, that you are adopting another being that feels, lives, and just operates. And the way you live for yourself, you need to consider the way you live for your children and the animals. So I think this could open a lot more discussions and a lot more debates. So I think what we can end it here if you don't have any other comments you want to share with our listeners. But I take the opportunity to remind our listeners that we will have an episode every Tuesday, so that you're going to find another live episode next Tuesday. I'm going to leave Virginia's charities information down in the description, so you can go check her out, check what she does, and pictures of cute cats and dogs. She has many on her Facebook page, so that's good. And maybe why not help? So Virginia, if that's okay, maybe they can contact you on your charity's Facebook page, asking you for more information. And for this month, we hope that Rethinking Climate can provide maybe a little help to smaller charities that are doing so much. So thank you very much for being with us today, Virginia.
Thank you.